Is that a breakup?
I think we have a situation right here.
On the Feeling Station.
Hey T,
Hey, what's happening? How you doing?
I'm good in you.
I'm doing exceptionally well. Thanks for asking. I've been waiting for this moment to land. As you know
Waiting.
too well, I've been waiting for it to land. Thank you so much for making time to talk to me.
You're most welcome.
You are on the lockdown edition of the Feeling Station. So please do not say your name because I'm going to give you one that you're going to use consistently across the episode, okay?
Okay, I hope I remember that name.
Even if you don't, at least I can fix that in post-production, so we should be okay.
All right, cool.
So, before we get too far, I'm going to give you what your name is. I've picked out a name from Ethiopia, and this is the name. Yeah,
This is getting deep already.
real quick, huh?
Already.
So the name that I've picked out for you is Ayana.
Ayana.
Yes, Ayana, which is Ayana, and that means pretty flower.
Oh, so Bantu. Yes.
How nice is that?
It's pretty.
So I need you to think of a name that you're going to give the guy you're going to talk about.
Let's go with Chido. Let's go with Chido Chomoyo.
Oh, okay. All right, you're going to call him Chido Chemoyo.
We're going to call him Chido. Yeah.
That is really interesting. What's inspired that?
Because he was, you know? Yeah, he was. Shame.
He was your Chido Chemoyo.
Yes.
Okay. Now, for those who are listening to this podcast for the first time, two things. Chido Chemoyo means the love of my soul. I mean, it's a really hearty expression to say how deeply in love you're with someone. And again, for those who are listening to this podcast for the first time, it touches on breakup stories that people would like to talk about with the view to give lessons behind their experiences. So right from the top, I'm just going to ask you, Ayana, what lesson do you want people to learn from this experience, or what lessons, if there's more than one, would you like them to pick up from your experience?
I feel if I gave the lessons at this stage, it might really give a lot away.
Really? One of those, huh?
But I do have a lesson that, a verse that when I came out of this, I was really like, oh, so this is what that means.
Okay, what verse is that?
That verse is Proverbs 3 verse 6. And it says, in all thy ways, commit.
Yeah.
Commit, acknowledge him, and he will make your ways straight. And yeah, I think after everything, I was like, okay, maybe another lesson from that verse is pray on it.
Okay.
Whatever it is, pray on it, because it is tense here outside.
So it's peak out there.
It is real. Oh my God. So you want to pray on it, just so that you know that, you've got divine backup.
Okay.
Because, yeah, you need it.
So I really want to know what happened in this situation. So let's take it from the top. How did you and Chido Chemoyo start?
Chido Chomoyo and I met when I relocated from the city to the coast.
Okay.
And I did that because I had just started a new job. I hadn't completed university. It was just those get up and go moments. Seize the day, carpe diem. And I relocated to the coast and I started working for this great brand, and it was just the best time of my life. I'll be honest with you. It was the best time of my life. My working hours at the time were crazy.
Yeah.
Like, they were absolutely mad. Like, we'd go in at around 8 a.m. in the morning and lock up at around 11 p.m. at night.
Jeez, that's a 15-hour day.
It's a 15-hour day. It's a lot. So this one night in February, we were locking up, and the windows to the store in which I worked were we didn't have walls. We had like glass windows.
Oh, yeah.
So we could literally see the traffic on the road.
Yeah.
You know, going up and this is like the main street in town. You know, the main street. So if you're in Cape Town, that would be like a long street, or if you're in Joburg, it would be like a Malvo or you know, a Mabeng or something. You know.
Yeah.
So you'd see the people on the outside, and then they can see you. So this one night when we were locking up, switching off the lights, 2 of the most handsome men.
Ooh.
Oh.
Most handsome, you know.
The most handsome, and I'm talking tall, dark, you know, they have that thing, you know, they have that thing.
Yeah.
So the one of them, so we'll call the one friend. Yeah, we'll call Chido's friend.
Okay.
So friend is very precocious and very forward, you know. And he looks at us because, I mean, we're 2 very pretty young ladies, you know, and he's knocking on the window and he's waving like, please don't close, you know, don't close. We want to buy whatever you're selling, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, please don't be creepy, you know. Don't be creepy, go away, you know. And Chido was standing next to friend, and he just had this towering presence, but this calm presence, you know.
He sounds like he was the more chilled one of the 2.
Yes, he was.
But at the same time, it's like he commanded more presence.
Yes.
Interesting.
So here's his friend, like acting like a lunatic, and my friend, very conservative, is like, Ayana, please deal with this. Like,
I'm not ready to deal with this stuff.
My friend. Let's call her Sunshine.
Okay.
Right?
Cool.
So friend is like, can I get your numbers, talking to Sunshine? Can I get your numbers? You know, you look stunning. You know, maybe we can go to the beach, this and that. So if Sunshine is like, closing the window, not entertaining.
Yeah.
So Chido comes over. So I look at Chido because he's standing next to friend, and I'm like, Chido, come this side, because I was so curious. I was so curious about him, right? And he came over and he stood at my window, T.
Yeah.
He had these beautiful almond brown eyes.
You must have been staring into his eyes because this was past 11 p.m. It's dark.
Yeah, no, I'm very attentive.
Wow.
I'm very attentive, T. I'm very attentive. So as this is happening, I'm capturing every moment, because I'm like, if this is the last time I see this man, I want to be able to remember every detail.
Wow. This is something else.
It's literally, I'm like,
yeah.
and then I'm like, take my number just in case anything happens, right?
Just in case, yeah, something happens.
Just in case something happens. And he takes my numbers, and immediately we started texting, right? So I haven't even driven off, and we started texting. And we drive off, we get home, I stay with Sunshine, and I'm thinking about Chido, like, that was a handsome man. And I'm like to Sunshine, don't you think he's a handsome man? And Sunshine's like, strangers, please, you know, whatever. Because she was with someone at the time. So she was really interested in boys.
Yeah.
And I was very single, you know. So I'm like, I'm interested in boys, you know. We texted until about 12 a.m.
Right.
At 12 a.m., I send him a message and I'm like, I'm really hungry. I'm really hungry and I really wish I had more to eat than what I have available.
Yeah.
And he's like, how's about a sandwich? And I'm like, okay, where are we going to get a sandwich?
Yeah.
And then he's like, obviously, I'm going to make you one.
Okay.
There was a 24-hour bakery. I meet him at the bakery. We go into the bakery and, you know, we were so cute together. I don't, like, listen, I thought he was going to buy a sandwich, but actually he was serious. He was going to make me a sandwich.
Wow.
So he bought all the ingredients. He had a bit of, a couple of dorky moments, so he wasn't like overly confident,
Yeah.
which I liked. It's as if he didn't know how beautiful he was, how handsome he was. It's as if he was very unaware of himself, but at the same time, very present.
Okay.
So I felt that I'm like, oh, this is very interesting. So we had like a dorky moment and I giggled, and so we got into our cars. We drove to an apartment, right?
Mm-hmm.
We go in, we talk. He makes me the sandwich. It was cute. It was so cute. And we had a good night. So this is now 1 a.m. in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And we ate the sandwich, we conversed, we went outside, we sat in my car and I introduced him to my music because I felt like I had really cool music at the time. Oh, here's one detail. When we were talking in the kitchen when he was making the sandwich, and I asked him what he does for a living because that's important. What do you do for a living? And he says to me, he's in sales and he also is a professional speaker. He's a motivational speaker.
Okay.
And, he's a this and that. And, I found it very bizarre because he seemed like a very soft-spoken person,
I was just thinking the same.
Yeah, he seemed like a very soft-spoken person. So it seemed like, wow, I would love to see that in action, because that would be another dimension to you, So I found that interesting, but still bizarre.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where it gets interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So he says he's going to have to leave soon because he works a very demanding job and whatever. And I'm like, okay, cool. So that means that I'm going to be able to see you when you come back or when I go back into the city. And actually, it's more tricky than that because if I leave, I'm going to have to leave for about 2 to 3 months. And I'm like, 2 to 3 months?
What am I going to do in that time without you?
Yeah, I'm like, what are you doing 2 to 3 months? You understand? So I'm like, so in between day 3 and day 4, I'm trying to establish where is he going? How long is he going for? Why is he going? What are you doing for 2 to 3 months? Because now he's not saying that he's going to go back into the city. He's saying he's going to go to the city for a week and then he's going to go into a continent in Africa for those 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
You see?
But why would you question that? Because he's told you that is in sales and maybe that's part of his job. So why are the questions coming?
The thing is that he's not telling me who he works for. That's one.
Maybe he's not allowed to.
Exactly.
And is that a problem?
This thing, it bugged me a bit, Tia. I don't want to lie. It bugged me a bit. So I was like, what does he do? Because...
Before you go too far, whilst starting to tell me that it bugged you, why did it bug you? Did you previously come out of a relationship where somebody would need to disappear?
No.
For you to be bugged by it?
No, I wasn't.
So how were you bugged?
I was just bugged.
Okay. Right, go on.
So I had a conversation with a friend, and friend would say, what does he do? He's saying he's going away for 2 to 3 months. No, that seems a bit heavy for me, I don't know if I can handle 2 to 3 months without, being able to speak to somebody. And he's like, he told you about that. This is friend, ne? This is friend. Friend is critical but not critical in the story, right?
Yeah.
So friend is like, oh, he told you about that. And I'm like, yeah, he did. He said that he's gonna be leaving. And then he's like, I can't believe one that he told you that he's leaving. I told you 2 about what he does or what did he tell you? And I'm like, he didn't tell me anything. Basically, he didn't tell me anything. And then he's like, okay, good. Because I don't think he would have. That would have been very strange if he would have. Something like that, And mind you, friend is also works in the... So then it became like, hey man, this is secret services.
Yes.
Secret services, you know?
Yeah.
It must be. It must be. So he leaves Tendai.
Mm-hmm.
He leaves and he goes off to wherever he goes off. No contact, no phone call, no nothing. So he said that he was going to be gone for 3 months max, right?
Mm-hmm.
So within the first month, I didn't hear from him much. It must have been an email. Oh my gosh. Oh, I was so happy. He's alive, because now I'm getting worried with her. This thing is intense. I hope he's just alive, you know. He's alive. Life continues. I continue to work. 1 month passes. Second month, we're now communicating, I think, on a bi-weekly basis via email. You know, so it's under the guise of I was able to get away to type this email. I miss you so much. So much is happening here. I can't wait to get back. You know, we're building dreams over email. Like, if I have like a compilation of these emails and I look at them and I'm like, oh my God, I was completely off the hook.
Wow.
I was completely off the hook. Planning, like, I was sending him things I love in my houses, things I've been collecting on Pinterest, you know, my favorite car, my favorite places to go in the world. And he would respond like, oh, I can't wait to take you here. Because he was also very well traveled, you know?
Right.
And he was like, oh my, but also a lot in Africa, within Africa. And he was fluent in Swahili, which I found very sexy. Very fluent in Swahili. And so he was like, I can't wait to take you to Kenya. You know, they'll treat you like a queen there, da 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 da. So we were building castles in the sky. 2 months passes, 3 months passes. He's not coming back. At the end of the 3 months, I'm like, where are you, bruh? Aren't you supposed to be coming back? And then he's silent. He's silent for like 3-4 weeks.
Jeez.
And then he sends me a message and he's like, oh my word, you won't believe what happened. When they were giving the letters of something, they extended my period, you know, some drama. So yeah, so he said that he had to stay that side for a bit longer. That drove me insane. It was 4 months. It was 5 months. It was 6 months. He was gone. And at this point, there was a deterioration in myself. And because I didn't understand what was going on. Because I'm like, now my hopes are not high. Now my hopes are low. And it's getting emotional. Like, wow, so is this how it ends? Like, everybody from home knew that Ayana met Chido Chomoyo.
Wow.
And
you had told him about him.
I've told my mom. I told my sister. So my nuclear unit.
Yeah.
Very nuclear unit knew about Chido. And I mean, he seemed like a fairy tale. So if he's gone for like 5-6 months, I look like I'm off the hook.
Wow.
I look like a madman.
Yeah.
So I went back home. Chido's nowhere to be seen or found. You know, I still have this hope that he's coming back, but I'm also losing hope. And it was a very emotional situation. I had to snap out of it at some point, and I forced myself to date. I forced myself to meet other people and distract myself, because now it was becoming obsessive. Like, I didn't understand what I was waiting for, actually. Because literally I met this guy and I was like, actually, you're a crazy girl. You're gonna say
you met this guy for 4 days and you're this hooked.
Are you serious? You know?
Yeah.
I pinched myself out of it. I met somebody. I started seeing that somebody. And that was around, now it was 8 months that he had been gone, 9 months that he had been gone. And then this one day, this very random one day,
Yeah.
I get a phone call from a number I do not know. And I say hello, and he's like, hey, Ayana, but it was a cute pet name, that he used for me. So we'll say, hey, Aya, it's me, and I'm so sorry. And then the phone cuts. So now I almost fainted. I almost fainted. I'm like, what? 9-10 months later what? So I'm trying to call this number back, and I can't get through. I can't get through. It's off. Something silly. But then it's like off for like 2 days. It's off for like 2 days. And I'm literally ringing this line every 2 hours for the 2 days,
Yeah.
On the second day, somebody answers. And somebody answers, and the somebody is Chido's brother.
Okay.
Brother answers the phone, and he says, hello, Ayana. And I'm like, yes, where's Chido? He's like, he's around. He's gonna call you back in the next day or two. He isn't around right now. I went to pick him up from the airport. So he's explaining to me.
Yeah.
I went to pick him up from the airport. He's okay. He's back home, but he's gonna come back. Explaining everything to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is wild. And then naturally 2 days later, Chido calls me, and it's so emotional because I have no idea what to think. I have no idea what to say. I have no idea what to do, But a part of me is also very excited that...
Before you go on, so I'm just going to pause you there on the part where you're very excited. And I'm going to ask you about the guy who you started dating. It doesn't sound like you were thinking about this other guy at this moment.
See, the guy that I was dating knew about Chido, And he knew about Chido because I felt like it was an important thing to let someone know. I don't know.
Yeah, upfront, yeah.
Yeah, upfront. Maybe I'm being over honest, but it's important. So he knew about him. So I said that, yo, you won't believe who called me, And who? And I'm like, and his face went stone cold.
Oh, man. Yeah, because he knew, isn't it?
Yeah, he knew. So I was mad. I was mad as hell.
Understandably, because he kind of misled you. He said 2 to 3 months, then this was now nearly 9 months down the line.
Yeah, it was almost a year that he was gone. And he couldn't explain the details of, and I'm very detail orientated, and he wasn't giving me enough details, and it was making me very upset. But he was able to talk me down, his eyes. He was so sorry. He missed me, I missed him too. Like, I was just mad, like, for real. But the first time I saw him, I just wanted to like jump on him. But
okay.
It took about 2 months of recovery. 2 months of me. Are you here? Are you for real? What's going on?
Yeah.
What are you doing here now? What's your story? And he's like, I'm here. I'm staying for you. Make us work, type of a thing. And 2 months later, we got back together. Oh, wow. No, let me not say got back together because...
You never really started, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So we officially started.
Yeah.
At that point, I started then introducing him to my family. Because now I'm just like, he's real. He's real. He's a real person. Everybody in my life loved him. This was the relationship I had been waiting for. We were together for a good 4 years.
Wow.
In that time, he was on and off with employment, which was not nice for me because I wanted to come right. I want you, when you say, Guti, you want to marry me, I must be able to believe you because you are working,
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Going. And he didn't. He had a job for a while, and then it fell flat after about 6-7 months or so. And then he went back into some sales work. which was also a bit on and off, very casual for me. So he wasn't making much.
Okay.
But it was okay because I was making enough, you know. He was not staying with me. He wasn't my burden per se.
Yeah.
Chido stayed with brother for about 9 or so months, or in that period, brother's wife didn't like me
At all.
at all.
Why is that?
I don't know. And it was very strange for me because I'm a very likable person. And she was just unshakable. It was as though she was intentionally wanting to dislike me. So that's the brother situation. And then he moved out, got his own place. I suppose he had been saving from the work that he had been doing. And he actually he stayed close to where I stay, not far from where I stay. So that was really great, you know, because I would go visit him and, you know, help him decorate his place. And it was really cute. And then, so it seemed as if things were coming together. So I started a company because I could see that the employment situation was not coming together.
Yeah.
A year and a half, a year or two into the company, we get an opportunity to have a project in another country.
Yeah.
In Africa. And we get sponsorship. I'm able to fundraise sponsorship for us to do the project in this African country. And it was just great. It was a great time for us because this was our breakthrough, you know? So the plan was that him and business partner one, we'll call him.
Okay. Yeah.
So Chido and business partner one go to African country to do said project.
Yeah.
So when they go that side, they really turned it upside down. Didn't make it what it was supposed to be. So during this whole, they were supposed to be there for about 3 months. They were there for like 8 months. 8 months, mind you. 8 months. 8 months later, past your time of being there, you are now in that country illegally.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah.
Understand? So if you want to leave, it's going to be difficult now for you to, you know? So now they're stuck. No, he is stuck because business partner one is a national and in that country.
Oh, no.
You see. So this whole time, it was this struggle between, oh my gosh, this man is an idiot. Like this man, he's great, but whoa, I can't. This is true. Yeah. Because now we're losing money. We've lost money. We actually lost money. We didn't execute anything we wanted to execute. But at the same time, it's the working relationship where I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this man, And then there's also the romantic relationship where I'm like, okay, love, you know, you need to work on coming back.
Okay. Yeah.
In August of that year, Chido's sister sent me a message on WhatsApp for the first time. We had never been in contact. She sent me a message to say, when is Chido coming back? Dad is sick.
Oh.
And I'm like, yo, sister, if you only knew that these people were supposed to be back 7 months ago. Yeah. So to be honest with you, I don't know when they're coming back, you know, because I was very pissed at the time. Like, they were just pissing me off. They just made me mad, you know? So I didn't even want to entertain the whole business issue because they just spoilt it. They were now running with it on their own, doing whatever they wanted to do that side. I didn't care really.
Yeah.
So the sister's like, okay, he needs to come back because Dad is really sick. It's not looking good. And I send him a message and I'm like, listen, sister's calling me. and sending me messages. She's saying that dad is sick. You need to get back home. Please come back home, because there's nothing that you're doing there. And then he's like, okay, we'll try come back, this, and that. He didn't try come back, So a week from then, sister sends me a message and she says, hi, is Chido coming back? Dad passed away this morning.
Oh, no.
So now I have to break the news to him that dad has died.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I finally get a hold of him and I think somebody had already told him, and I'm like, how are you? He says he's fine. I'm like, so now you need to come back. And he's like, yes, I'm going to try everything that I can to get back. So now I'm trying to repatriate him because I know that he can't afford to come back really. I try, I communicated with his siblings, and it was just this difficult struggle because I sensed, and I spoke to friend, right? I spoke to friend because I was like to friend, we need to repatriate Chido because he doesn't have money and he needs to come back for his father.
Yeah.
Friend is like, oh, that one, he's not going to come back, I'm like, what do you mean he's not going to come back? He's like, he is not going to come back. And I'm like, why wouldn't he come back? It's his father's funeral, Yeah. And then he's like, okay. And then I'm like, okay, whatever. So I guess I'm going to do this on my own, So I raise money to get this guy on a flight back from African country.
Yeah.
And when he comes back, I mean, he came back in the nick of time. And he came back, and this was after the longest process of trying to get him to leave. I don't even want to get into it. But it was the longest, most dreadful process. He was even incarcerated, right, before he could leave. Yes, because he's there illegally.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. So when he tried to exit, they looked at his papers and saw that, no, you're illegal.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
So it was just this whole drama. So he made it back literally the day before his father's funeral. So he lands in City. I pick him up from the airport. And we drive together. I drive him 6 hours to the coast so that he can make it to his father's funeral.
Yeah.
So, and not just me, I had my sister and my brother-in-law also take the drive down to support, because this is the love of my life. This is Chido Chomoyo, know. So we get to the coast. It's funeral time now. So, get to the funeral. It's the service. So he said his speech and that concluded. Then we went to the graveyard and then they buried dad. And then after the cemetery, while we were in the cemetery, Chido's sister came to me and she hugged me and she was like, thank you for everything, because she knew that I got that man there single-handedly, like he was going to miss his dad's funeral. And I like it seemed like he was willing to not come. I don't know. Something was weird about it,
Yeah.
So she hugged me and said, thank you so much for getting him here. I'll see you later at the house. Because, after funerals, we go to the house and then everybody's eating and everything. So when we get to the house, I'm with my family now. Chido was also there. I mean, he hasn't been home in a very long time. So obviously everybody wants a piece of him. But I also sensed that he was very slippery.
Okay.
He was too slippery.
Mm-hmm.
So I hadn't met his mom, right? So I had met brother and I had met his sister. But I had not met his two other siblings. And it wasn't about me, I know, at the time. But a part of me really wished that he had introduced me to his other siblings. Maybe not his mom because she's mourning, but maybe your siblings, Because, I mean, we've been together for like 4 or 5 years. and it seems very strange for you not to, for them not to know me,
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah.
Because they know
Yeah.
we spend a lot of time together. We used to go on holidays together, and it just really put me off that he wasn't vocal about me with his family.
Yeah.
During that whole time, I was so uneasy, but chillingly so, and I don't know why I was uneasy. I don't know why I was unsettled, but something wasn't right. Something wasn't right in my spirit. And I told my sister, and I'm like, you know what? I think we need to go, And she's like, why? And I'm like, I'm not feeling okay. Something's not right. And also, Chido was also slippery. Like, it was as if we were just there as ornaments because he wasn't even entertaining us, I mean, if you're not going to introduce me to your people, that means that you don't want to introduce me to your people, So we'd rather go, So we left. And after we left, I was sad. I think I cried that night. I don't know why, but I was
Something within you was registering that something is not right.
Something's not right. And then the next day, I saw him because I was going to drive back to the city. And I saw him. We had a good day. We had a good chat. I was still very low in spirit. Also because, he's back from African country after like 9 months and we haven't spoken or seen each other, so it's a whole lot of emotions. And at the same time, I was also going through a point where I was like, I don't know if I still can with this man, I don't know if there's a future here. And I'm not going to leave him because he doesn't have money, because that's where I was going with it, But at the same time, how am I going to do this,
Yeah.
So I was already having all of those thoughts in my mind. So I was just down when I saw him that day. But I saw him, and then I drove. I took on the drive. I journeyed on back to the city, and I called my mom, and I said to my mom, "Ma, on Wednesday we're gonna fast. We're gonna fast because something's not right. I'm fed up. I'm emotional. I'm a wreck." And on the Wednesday, for sure, we had the day of fasting and prayer. And it was really just praying to God to just, to set me free. One, because I didn't know how to leave him because I loved him so much. I didn't know how to leave him because I was just unhappy with his, professional conduct and his goals and his future, So I didn't know how to leave him because of that, And I was like, but apart from that, I'm just feeling very heavy about something. So we prayed about it that day. And literally that day, Tendai, sister sends me a message on WhatsApp. And she says to me, you left so early on the day of the funeral. I really wanted to get to know you and see you, Then I'm like, my intention was to stay, but I felt like it was a bit inappropriate because I felt that Chido wanted to spend time with his family. And then she says to me, look at my profile picture, my kiddos. And then that's literally where I leave the conversation. We left the conversation there. And then the next morning, literally as I walk into the office, she sends me a message and she says, I don't think you saw what I mean. I have 2 boys and a girl. Those are my niece and my nephew.
Oh.
And I'm like, what? So I open the picture.
Yes.
And I see this picture. I see this girl who is like this spitting image of Chido. Like, undeniable.
Oh boy.
Undeniable. So I'm like, whose kids are they?
Yes.
The little one in the middle looks like Chido. The splitting image, they're twins. That's his daughter for sure. Right? So now I'm shaking. I've dropped my bags. I'm in the office. I've dropped my bags. And then she's like, oh my goodness, I knew it. I knew it. I knew that you had no idea that he had children. I hugged you when I hugged you. She said this to me. She said, when I hugged you, I could feel your spirit. I could feel your innocence, And I'm like, Haibo, what are you talking about?
Oh, no.
He's like, this man has got children. And I'm like, what? Are you serious? And then she's like, yes. And there's another one from another woman, which makes 3.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like, what? And she's like, you know what? I had a hunch that something wasn't right. But Cheeto was quiet about things. He's afraid of the truth. I know him, and I needed to check for myself if my suspicions were right. She's like, don't fight with him. Just handle it as somebody who is as mature as I saw. And I'm like, what?
Oh my gosh.
See? I'm like, what? Children.
And how old were these kids?
The oldest one looked like he was around 9. And then the second one looked like he was around maybe 6. Maybe 6 or 7. And then this third one that we don't know about, because apparently he's denying the child. That one is around the same age that could have been conceived during his whole hiatus when he was gone.
Wow.
So she has this conversation with me, and I'm literally just gobsmacked, you know? And I sent her a message, and I'm like, you know what? God is mighty, sister, you know? Because this is exactly what I was praying for. And then we talk, and then she's communicating to me and this. So now I'm already like struck. I can't work anymore. I'm on my way back home because I'm like, this is too much for me to handle, you know?
Of course, yeah.
When I get home, she says to me, because now we're talking about how upset I am that he's been an absent father, because he knows my position with absent fathers. He knows my relationship with my father, and it's deeper than somebody who will just leave their children and not even acknowledge them, you know?
Yeah.
So I had that conversation, and she was like to me, you know what? It's sad because when he's been away, mom and dad had to take care of the kids because his wife went crazy or went into depression when he left. I'm like, his wife? His wife went, sorry, what? Yes, his wife went into depression after he left. She didn't know how to handle taking care of the kids. I'm like, sorry, wait. Sorry, excuse me, Cheeto's married?
Oh my gosh.
So I'm like, actually, no. I said, Cheeto was married. And she's like, no, Cheeto is married.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's when the penny dropped. 5 years later, I find out that the man of my dreams, Cheeto Chuma,
Is somebody's husband.
and is a father. It was just the most heartbreaking. I felt deceived. And I was very sad because I didn't understand why he wouldn't tell me that he had children, or that maybe he was separated from his wife, or things were not going well. Why not give me the choice to make one day and see you through all of this, you know? But he ran. He left his family and he ran. And that was the man that I was in love with.
And I guess that explains the tension when you were at the house after the funeral.
Yes. So
Okay.
I asked her, and I'm like, was his wife at the funeral? And then she says yes.
Oh, no.
She says yes, and then she says that she saw you. And apparently she spent about an hour or so crying in the bedroom.
Man.
Crying.
That is crazy because you were none the wiser.
Yeah, crying. So I'm like, that is so deep spiritually. How can you expose me like that spiritually? You know?
Yeah.
How do you expose my soul to that and expect it not to burn me, or to burn you, or to burn your wife, or to, you know? So tricky. And then it explained why brother brother's wife never liked me, because brother's wife was like, this bitch.
Oh, so she was busy thinking that you were a homewrecker.
Yes.
Lord have mercy.
She just never broke. And it just made sense to me how she just didn't like me. She just didn't even like being in my space.
Jeez.
And it was and it's so weird because what it would look like from the outside is it's that I'm flaunting this relationship, with this married man. And all the while it's just unbeknown to me.
Yeah, you were none the wiser.
So I mean that ended terribly. That ended terribly. I gave him a call. I was just upset. I don't know. I don't even remember what I said. I look at the experience and I thank God for that relationship because he did. It was a great love. You know, it was a great relationship. But I think what is sad is that he was a coward.
Yeah.
He was a coward and he ran away from his responsibilities and he built his life on nothing, on me, actually. I think I was his escape and he was using me as his escape. And he just had no plans actually to own up. He told me that.
Wow.
Exactly.
Okay. You see, now your first lesson from the beginning makes a lot of sense because you quoted Proverbs 3 verses 5 and 6, which goes, in all your way acknowledge him and he will make straight your paths.
Exactly.
Pretty much. And then your second lesson was always pray for divine intervention because it may be required. And divine intervention was required and it revealed a lot of stuff to you about his life.
And it came. It came immediately.
Yeah. Well, I'm grateful that you shared this experience just as I'm wrapping this up. 2 really important lessons came out, and that the first one is that remember what Proverbs 3 verse 5 says, in all your way acknowledge him and he will make straight your paths. Second lesson is that pray on every situation that you're in and pray for divine intervention because it may be required. And I guess the lesson for you, if you're listening to this and if you are spiritual, is that remember to put God at the forefront of all of the things that you get into, and you could save yourself a whole heap of trouble. Like 5 years that Ayana feels like she's lost, but at least it was a valuable lesson because now she knows to do better in terms of getting in touch with God up front. You've been listening to another lockdown edition of The Feeling Station, and I look forward to catching you in the next episode. Peace.
Tell me what you're feeling.
Sati Zandaro Raini and Chagezai.
Tell me what you're feeling. Now that it's over.
Sati Zandaro Raini and Chagezai.
Let me talk about my feelings. Let me talk about my feelings, yeah.
Urudoi motoru noto kujidziro amai.
Kujidziro amai. Love is a fire.
Urudoi motoru noto kujidziro amai.